Mr. Garcia, he came to us early January, I believe January 4th, with COVID pneumonia. When he first was admitted, he kind of looked like our typical COVID patient. We put him on standard therapy, but we noticed pretty quickly he wasn't responding as well as some of the other patients. So we had to kind of up his respiratory support. We started out with nasal cannula, which just goes in the nose. Then we had to do a high flow nasal cannula, which is a little more pressure and oxygen through the nose. But he still wasn't doing well, started to not be able to oxygenate his blood, and he started to get confused. So at that point, we made the decision that he would benefit from being intubated. His lungs were no longer able to keep up with his body's demands, so we had to help him out.
There were a couple weeks there he was very sick. And when anybody has to be intubated on a ventilator, you're sick, you're in critical care. You're a sick patient. You know, as hard as it is, you have to be honest with families about, what's going on and just what's happening, and you just kind of have to keep doing what we're doing as far as, with our teams, the doctors, and hoping that he gets better.
We got him intubated. Initially, things were looking okay, but as often happens with COVID, his lungs started becoming really stiff, non-compliant. His gas exchange was not doing very well. There was a point where we did not think he was going to be able to recover, but eventually he started to turn the corner.
I've taken care of lots of critical patients. I felt pretty close to the Garcias just because I was here the day that Mr. Garcia was admitted. I admitted him close to shift change. I remember getting him from the COVID clinic, and then just, every week being with him, taking care of him, talking to his wife on the phone. It was a hectic time for him and some of the staff too, because we wanted him to get better, and this COVID has been so unpredictable, for patients, and we're so glad that he's been able to get out of here and move on and hopefully get home soon.
According to what they tell me, there were things my family wrote in a moment where according to my wife, they used to flip me during the day and flip me during the night, like an egg. So through all that time, those encouraging spiritual words were there that kind of give me that, and the nurses give me that desire to survive. That you can be a rocket, you can survive.
One of the stories that I recall was his wife was wanting to visit him, and at that time he was already intubated. She came just as I was leaving from my shift, and I was talking with somebody in the parking lot for a few minutes, and she came up and asked if she could come in to visit him. At that time, with his COVID status, we were not able to allow visitors for that time period. But I was able to call the senior leaders of the hospital, and we were able to arrange for us to do a telephone call on the next day so that the family could pray with him, could sing to him, and be able to just virtually be with him through that telephone conversation. And I'd like to think that really helped him, because even though he's sedated, he can still hear those things. And it definitely helped his family as well to be able to speak with him and share things with him, and to be able to pray for him as well.
Next thing you know, I'm up, and my wife is telling me what happened to me. And really, because I was totally unaware. The only thing I knew was that I came in for COVID.
Coming into early February, his lungs were starting to do much better. We actually got to the point where we could wake him up a little bit on the ventilator, interact with him, and come, I think, February 15th or roughly around there, we were doing breathing trials, and he was doing very well, so he got to the point where we could actually extubate him. So we were able to remove the tube. We had to keep him on something called BiPAP. It's called non-invasive ventilation for about 24 hours and watch him. And then after that, we were able to take it off and talk to him, which is something we hadn't been able to do since January.
A month later, I get up. My wife tells me, Gino, do you know where you were? I don't have no idea. To me, I was just sleeping. That's when she tells me what went through, what was the process, and the prayers, the intercession, and the moral support of my family while I was going through that process.
He got amazing care from, like, you know, every morning we have our meetings at 8:30 with our social workers, both of our doctors, our intensivist, our, you know, hospitalist, nutrition, respiratory therapy. Everybody coming together is, I really think it's, you know, and working together, I really think that's what contributed to him getting better and getting out of here.